Hey, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Steve, and this is 60 Second Hum, the guitar, the guitaring.
It is the guitaring.
The guitar buying.
Welcome to the guitaring.
The guitar buying, selling, trading, modding, fixing, breaking, reviewing, playing podcast. This week we'll talk about buying, possibly selling.
We're going to do all the stuff.
We're going to do most of those things.
We're going to do all the normal stuff that we do in an episode, guys. Don't worry. Steve's not saying we're going to do something different. We're not going to do anything different. Not after 6 years. It's going to be the same.
I just realized I do have something new this week.
Okay. Well,
Hooray!
we'll get to... People didn't know you didn't have anything new until you said.
Shut up. This first ad is sent by Stephen Hunter. It's a Blacktop Baritone, currently at Rainbow Music in Grand Rapids, Michigan. If you want to see/play it in person, not open to trades. This is a modded 2012 Fender Blacktop Baritone Telecaster in metallic burgundy. What if this was stock?
There's no way it's stock.
For pickups, it has a 60s Diarmond gold foil, an 80s American Fender Strat single, a 70s vintage Strat single coil. Why would it, like, they're both technically vintage at this point, right? The stock Blacktop Baritone humbucker in the bridge, which is almost vintage, with a, I'm just kidding, with a mirror pick guard. The switching system is a T4 by Awesome Musical Instruments, made in the USA. You can achieve any combination of the 4 pickups, 102 total options. And it's really not as complicated as it looks, FYI. Not blowing smoke here, but this guitar plays like butter. It was set up by the luthier who did the mods at the request of the previous owner and has not needed anything since I bought it. Although I have, of course, changed the strings a couple of times. It's listed as used because, of course...
Yeah, of course it's used.
It's used because of the mods.
Yes.
Otherwise, the guitar is in excellent shape. Please let me know if you got any questions.
It does look very clean. It looks like a very good...
I really like the refin.
Clean mod job. Was it refinned? Is the paint a refin?
I'm pretty sure that's a...
It's called the Blacktop model. That doesn't mean that they were all black.
No, I know, but I don't remember there being a metallic burgundy.
I don't know. But it looks like a very clean refin, that's for sure. If it is a refin, as Steve alleges. Fun fact about the Blacktop Tele here is that's the neck that I have on my Baritone Strat parts caster is a Blacktop Tele neck. I'd always heard when I was buying that neck anyways, that the Blacktop Tele baritones had a lot of trouble with intonation. So I don't know. Maybe this one's fine.
Do you feel like yours does?
No, the Strat intonates just fine, and you'd think that the bridge placement would be about the same. But I don't know. Maybe that was someone just blowing smoke or not knowing what they were talking about, and I've had that memory ever since. But this thing looks like kind of a bunch of fun. I really like the mirror pickguard. I like the gold foil in the neck. I could do without all the extra switches and the middle single coils. I would rather have, a coil cut on that bridge humbucker. But I don't know. I can't say that this is a reversible mod for people who want to take it back to stock because it looks like they had to route out a bunch of wood for that extra long control plate. The control plate, if you're not looking at the pictures, has a knob on each end, 2 knobs like you'd expect on a Telecaster, but then 6 little switches all perfectly in a straight row in between the 2 knobs. And it's just as long as a hot dog. Like, it's just the longest control plate I've ever seen on a Telecaster in my life.
Do you think this is the same color?
It could be. Just a really bad photo of it.
They're calling this classic copper.
Interesting.
So now that I'm looking at, but I think it looks the same too. So now I'm wondering if...
I mean, this is metallic, so if that's a copper metallic, it could just be the way that photo's taken.
Yeah, it's making me think that between the two...
I think this is a stock finish.
But I'm saying I don't think this is technically like a burgundy finish.
No.
Because a burgundy should be...
It's more purple.
More purple.
Yeah, this does look copper. I mean, it's hard to tell through photos sometimes. Colors get all mixed up by all sorts of, stuff going on. When
you sell a guitar, you should only list the Pantone number.
Oh my gosh. No, let's not complicate things.
Would you play a guitar that was painted Vanta Black?
What is Vanta Black?
Vanta Black is that shade of black that's 99.9999 whatever.
The moment you touch something like that, you get your sweat and your oils on it, and then you lose that
Yeah,
percentage
how
right
does that
away.
work?
It's got to be super, super matte black. And like the moment like anything touches it, it's all over. It's not the blackest black.
But it would
anymore.
only be those parts that you touch. So like you could have a full, if you did your pickup covers and everything in it, people wouldn't even know that you had pickups. If you had EMG
It'd be so they couldn't see it because it's so black.
EMG pickups that were also painted Vanta Black, installed in a Vanta Black body guitar, it just with Vanta Black body hardware, you wouldn't even know how to play. You just have floating strings.
It'd be so black you couldn't see it.
Yeah.
No light can escape this theoretical guitar. It's the black hole.
Son.
You know what? I could see, Fender or Gibson putting together one of those guitars, just painting them all with that black, just as a showpiece for NAMM or something like that. And you walk up to me like, oh man, I really can't see it at all. It's so black. I can't even see anything, any light reflecting off of it. Even the frets are black. The whole thing just disappears and just looks like a hole in reality that you're staring through.
Is 102 total options really any combination of the four?
Well, I'm assuming there's only 4 pickups here, but there's 6 switches. So I'm assuming there is phase options and there are coil cuts for the humbucker at least. And I mean, you take 4 pickups and there's already going to be a lot of options there. And then you multiply it by phase and things like that. And you can hit that number very easily, I'm sure. I mean, I believe this guy has done his math.
I'm questioning
you
the
crunch the numbers, Steve. You let me know. Steve has the calculator out now. This is riveting podcasting.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like
Without knowing
I feel like
exactly
102 is just an odd number to land on.
without knowing exactly what those switches do, you're not going to be able to
Right.
land at the same number as him.
Right. Right.
Assuming he did his math right.
Right. All right. Sorry. Anyway, did we already say what we think about this? I like this. Oh, the mirror pick guard. Now that I see it from the top.
What do these go for in stock condition?
Oh, I don't know, like 400 probably.
You think 400?
Yeah.
I'm going to check reverb.
I don't know. I haven't looked for one of these in a while.
What the heck? Let me get to search.
This is on. Yeah, this is on Facebook.
Blacktop Baritone Telecaster.
Like I'm just not
Whoa.
seeing a lot of them.
There's one for 1,000.
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, another one for 1,100. Whoa, is there a collector's market for these now?
Maybe.
So this
Maybe
is
I'm just way off.
this is a deal then. $550. Grab it.
Yeah.
Get this guitar. Even you know what? Maybe these do have that long control plate. That does look pretty long. Maybe it's just an angle of the photo.
You know, one of the things that throws it all off is you think about how long a 3-way switch is, and this one doesn't have it. It's basically replaced the 3-way switch with a bunch of.
I think it's just the angle of the photo makes it look
of this other switches.
super long. So maybe
Right.
you could return this back to near stock condition.
Yeah, you're right. I'm seeing on eBay like 1,100.
With all those switches in a row, it just made it look so freaking long. But I guess it already was long. I just never noticed it because it had a normal layout on it.
Yeah, this is saying the ranges on the historical ranges on Reverb are 700 to 1,100. So either way,
Yeah, I'd go buy this. I really like the neck on my baritone Strat. That's the same neck as this. I think it plays great. And if you don't want these mods, I think you can take this back to a more stock Tele kind of thing.
you really
pretty
could.
easily.
You really could pretty easily. All you'd have to do is get like a telecaster plate
And a pickguard.
and a pickguard.
Yeah.
Take those other pickup. Like that's the
I
other
mean, if
thing,
you're
right?
playing baritone, you're already getting into like some weird stuff.
Yeah.
So you probably are fine with those
But like,
mods.
if you can verify that these pickups are what they say they are, and you know, then there's value there. Like,
Sure.
what's a 60s Diarmid go for? Probably like at least $60 to $100.
Maybe if you find the right buyer. I
Like
don't know.
a 70s Fender Strat single coil, you could probably get like at least $50 for that. You gotta do a little legwork, but like at least
You got to work those legs.
whatever, like those parts, like could at least keep you from going sinking a bunch of cash into it.
Sure.
Because like getting an original pick guard and pickup is not gonna.
I gotta say though,
much.
leaving that gold foil in the neck, I think is a good idea.
Just leave it all, man.
That's a
like
cool
you said,
look.
it's weird. Be weird.
Or replace those Strat pickups with lipsticks, just because it would look cool on that mirror pick guard. I don't know.
Replace those Strat pickups with other gold foil pickups.
All right, what's new, man? You said you had a new.
I sold a pedal board like a week ago, and I sold it to someone local, and it was funny because
Good job, Steve.
I know I sold it on OfferUp. And what happened, and I had to ask the guy what the story was, because basically this woman messages me on OfferUp, and she's like, I'm out of town, but I want to get this, and my friend can pick it up. And I'm like, oh boy, but it's OfferUp, and I'm like, can you even? I mean, you can pull that scam anywhere,
Right.
But I feel like doing it on OfferUp is like where you have the accounts are supposed to be verified and whatever. It's like, this isn't going to be, unless the guy shows up with a cashier's check, like this should be legit, right?
Right.
And then she stopped talking, and then like a week later, she's like, I'm back in town. My friend still wants to go get this. So anyway, I end up meeting up with the guy, and he's looks great, and I get to talking about him, and it turns out like he and this woman are in a band together. And he basically he has like an SKB pedal board. She just has an IKEA pedal board with no case. And so originally she was gonna buy the pedal, like she just wanted him to pick up the pedal board for her. But they figured out like how many pedals each one of them had. Basically, I think he had like a PT Junior, and she couldn't fill up a PT1. So he was like, no, let's do this. Well, he has the SKB equivalent to a PT Junior. And he's like, let's do this. Like, I'll just buy that pedal board for myself, and I'll give you my smaller pedal board. So it's this whole like swap-a-rooney
That you're in the middle of.
that I'm in the middle of, but it worked out, and I got my $90. So
There you go.
hooray.
Got your
Woo!
$90.
$90. Been buying lunch all week.
Whoa, big spender.
Yeah.
That's your lunch money,
I bought a round of beers for my coworkers.
Damn, son.
Yeah.
You gotta sell a pedal board every week.
I know. What's new with you, Ryan?
I got a new Walrus Julia.
To replace your old one?
In addition to my old one.
Oh, in addition to
because they came out with a version 2, and they sent me the version 2 to demo.
Yeah.
So now I've got 2 of them. And this very day that the podcast episode is airing, I am publishing my demo for this, which is fun because it's like, I've already demoed this. I've already owned the original Julia for like 3 years, 4 years and something now.
Yeah.
One of the original pedals that I demoed for Walrus. So like doing the version 2 is super easy. It's like, I already know this pedal. Let me show you this pedal that I already know. It has a couple cool new features, momentary soft switching.
Wait, is it momentary or is it soft switching?
It is momentary.
Oh, so you can like hold it down, and then when you let it go, it goes away?
And that's something I remember, I think Aaron Abubo saying because he had one of these, I think, if I remember right, and him saying he wished it had momentary switching for when you put it on like really crazy vibrato sounds. And that's what it has now.
Cool.
It has momentary switching.
Cool.
So you can throw it on some sort of wacky sound and just, have it on for a second on that one part of the song that you need. Other than that, it's got new art.
Is that a switch setting to do that? Or
No, it's just always there.
If you hold it down?
If it's off, you hold it down, it's on, and then you release, and it just knows when you're turning it off or doing momentary.
Interesting. Cool.
Yeah.
This technically we're leaking this because this episode will come out like 8 hours before your video does, right?
No, my video will come out probably right before this episode does. It's supposed to launch on Monday.
I thought there was a time point.
I'll have to check. Oh, well, you guys can keep a secret, right?
But yeah, so it's top jacks. It's a new switch. What do you think about the new art?
I kind of liked that the old art leaned harder into the Gilman classic movie monster sort of look with her hand there.
Right.
But her face looks a lot better now.
Well,
And
they both have the movie monster hand.
I like the art style better now, but no,
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
the webbing leans into the Gilman thing more.
Right.
But I don't think that's what they were trying to do anyways, to do like a full Gilman sort of concept. I think they were trying to do like a Lady of the Lake, like siren sort of thing. So I think the new art style is a lot cleaner and better looking. But I don't know. There's something about the original Julia art that I have an affinity for too. So I don't know.
It's such a goofy thing, but I like
I
that
think the new art is more marketable.
I like that there's 2 colors on it.
Yeah, they did that too. You've got white printing for the titles of the controls and for the logo on there. Also, they did a really nice emboss on the bottom plate there of their logo. I think that's a really classy touch, Walrus. I think you should do that on all your future pedals. I'm sure they will. Really cool. So I've got 2 of these. I've got 2 Julias now. In the demo video, I actually run them in parallel at the end. So I've got one Julia running to one amp and one Julia running to another amp, and I mix it in stereo, so it gets really nice and weird and wobbly.
You should have run them in series.
Why?
Because that would be funnier.
But it wouldn't be stereo.
That's true.
I think stereo's funnier.
All right. What's funny about stereo, Ryan?
You don't laugh when you hear something in stereo? I laugh every time I hear something in stereo. All right, you want to talk about this new thing we're going to do, maybe, if people like it, and tell us?
Yeah. So at the end of 2019, Ryan and I talked about listening to albums. And so we decided to start off 2020 trying this out. We're going to do this for a couple weeks. If you guys love it.
At least 2 weeks.
We're going to do it for at least 2 weeks. If you guys like it, let us know. If you hate it, let us know. If you like it, let us know and suggest albums. If you hate it because of the albums we picked, let us know and suggest albums.
This is a long multiple choice.
Yeah. But for our first,
if you don't like it and don't want us to continue, say nothing.
Yeah. So the first album we picked, or that I picked.
Well, what we did is I picked an album, Steve picked an album. We're going to do one album a week. So this week we're doing Steve's album.
Yeah. And this album is the Rolling Stones' Exile on Main Street. This album is on many a top, 10, top 20 greatest rock albums of all time. I tried to listen to it a while ago and I just couldn't get into it. I tried to listen to it again. I mean, it's got 2 or 3 songs. I'm like, okay, this is fun. This is a cool song. But the first time I listened through it,
How recently
a couple
did you
days
listen?
ago.
A couple days ago.
A couple days ago. The one thing that was frustrating is there's basically no singles off this album.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it's always a little easier to listen to an album when you at least know a couple songs on it.
Sure.
When
you know the fudge is at the bottom of the sundae still.
Yeah, it's if I could listen to an album, it's okay, a couple years ago I did a deep dive on Pink Floyd.
Sure.
And it's at least at one point on every album I'd be like, "Oh, I've heard this song."
Right.
And on this, so Exile on Main Street, didn't know anything on there. There were a couple songs. The opener, I think, is called Rocks Off. That was a really fun song.
Here's some of my notes on it.
One of the things that kind of I found frustrating about the album is it just felt really derivative to me.
Yeah, well, I think that's something I was noticing a lot. Is it really leans hard into this honky tonk blues sort of thing that the Stones already do, but this was like just all that, and with some dives into American gospel sounds as well.
Yeah.
And it's the thing I noticed about the album is that it's very kind of monolithic. If you like one song on this album, you're going to like them all because it doesn't vary. It all feels like it's in the same songwriting session, all the same recording session, which I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
And because it's all just kind of the same, I found myself halfway through it, is this over yet? How many songs deep
It's
am I
over an
into this
hour
thing?
long.
And I look at the track list, I'm like, man, there's still 10 songs left to go.
Yeah.
This album could be 3 hours longer, or it could be half the length, and you would still get the same amount of content out of it musically, because it really is like the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, I kind of had that too, except
And
that
it's a good I think the thing that they're doing is fun, and I think it's very listenable and enjoyable. Like, put that album on and cook, Sunday morning breakfast with the family, and it's gonna just brighten the mood of the house. It's a very like positive feeling vibe. Very, it's the Rolling Stones.
There's a couple.
It's strutty and it's cocky.
Yeah,
and it's up tempo like blues.
Right. I will say I'm not gonna. I don't know. I don't. Maybe I will say. I'll let you decide. After listening to the album that we're gonna talk about next week, I went back to listen to this album and I found it a lot more listenable.
Interesting. I'm not sure what you mean by that. You'll have to enlighten me next week.
I just feel like it put me like more in a space of like
understanding
of that like time framing, I guess.
I also found myself. I've mentioned that there's a lot of blues going on in it. I found myself asking, am I tired of the blues? Because I realized it wasn't as much of a cliche when this album and the next album we're going to cover were recorded, but maybe it was, and I'm just really kind of burned out on blues cliches.
I feel like this album is kind of a blues cliche, but the album that we are talking about next week is not a blues cliche.
Next week we're gonna talk about, what was the name of the Hendrix album?
Are You
Experienced?
So anyway, so one of the interesting things too with this album is it's currently on, like, if you do a Google for like top 50 rock albums, top 50 albums all time, whatever, like this album is on there. But when it came out, it was like the critics were like split. They were just kind of like, whatever.
Right.
But now apparently like most modern critics consider this the best Rolling Stones album.
Maybe it is because it doesn't have those big hit bangers on it that have been like rubbed, that just beaten to your head, beaten to the ground. And it's like you can listen to this album and get that vibe that you love from the Stones without being like, I'm so tired of this song,
Right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, paint the door black or whatever.
Mm-hmm. What are some other notes you have? Well, you said you actually wrote stuff down. I just listened to it.
I wrote down that the only time I've listened to a Stones album all the way through was like the 40th anniversary compilation I have. I haven't actually listened to like a full album all the way through. Yeah, I think I covered all the rest of my notes.
Yeah, I think Tumbling Dice was a single off of this album, but I don't think
it was. It was.
I don't think I'd ever heard this song or heard that song before listening to this album. And I want to say for some reason I thought I had heard Soul Survivor somewhere before, but I couldn't quite place it.
I feel like I've heard bits of Soul Survivor in like movies or whatever, or soundtracks. But it's one of those songs where it gets into the rest of it and you're like, I've never heard this part of this song.
Right.
But then like it hits you with the hook or the chorus and you're like, oh yeah, this old chestnut.
Yeah, this is so weird because if you look at the retrospective professional reviews, like every major reviewer like gives it like an A or like 5 stars or like whatever the maximum stars is. And I don't know, like maybe I'm just not well versed enough in that sound space and that time point in history to like appreciate it that much.
Right.
But I say that, but like I said, like
how much are we gonna trust reviews? Like,
no,
I'm sure every classic album that's iconic is going to get a 5-star review from most record reviewers. Because like, what can you say about this thing that everyone knows?
But I'm saying like it's interesting because it initially like the initial critics were like,
sure.
Like,
I mean, for
they
me,
just didn't care.
When I listen to an album, and this goes back to what I said earlier about it, I don't want it to sound the same throughout. I want to be taken on a bit of a journey and have a variety of songs. Like when I write songs for a band or for an album, like if I have a song that sounds too close to another song, I'm like, no, we got to change this up somehow. So to have like an album full, what is it, like 18 songs or something like that?
Yeah.
And like 15 of them are pretty much the same thing. They're doing the same vibe. They're doing the same kind of guitar work and kind of like melody and rhythm work. Like they feel like they're from the same set of music. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to describe it. And it just it felt a little bit exhausting to me because I'm more like an ADD listener and I want to hear more of a jump in styles and concepts and varieties, you know. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
This is weird because the article says it's an immediate commercial success, but it was not well received by most contemporary critics who found the songs inconsistent. But then at least one New Year's list called it the best album and the peak of rock music in 1972.
Whatever.
So it's like, whatever. Like, I don't know.
Those are their reviews. We have our review. None of it matters. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the money zone, Steve. Pay some bills for us.
We're going to get so sued by
sued
by the
Max Fun.
McElroys.
The McElroys.
This first sponsor spot. Jesus.
You can do it, Steve. I believe in you.
This episode is brought to you by Chase Bliss Audio. They make pedals more creative than you are with a digital brain and an analog heart, except for the Dark World that has a digital brain and a digital heart. They make just pedals that can do all kinds of crazy things. So many functions, MIDI capabilities. What is it, like 16 dip switches on every pedal?
It's stupid. There's like 2 dip switches for every knob or something like that.
And at the core of every pedal, you'd have a genuinely great sounding effect, something that it could be, you know, the exemplar in its class at any time. So if you're looking for something to do everything you want and a lot of things you don't know that you already want, go get a pedal from Chase Bliss Audio.
Just go get a pedal from Chase Bliss Audio. You know you want to. You know you
Do
want to.
it.
Treat yourself. Just treat yourself already.
Treat
Why
yourself.
have you been holding out on giving yourself the satisfaction that you deserve, that you know you deserve? Take some money and go buy something. Spend money until you're happy.
This question was sent by Matt Kimes. He says, "Is 2020 the year people start wearing hats on stage again?" Again? I mean, I guess
He didn't say it's 2020 the year people start wearing hats. He said, is 2020 the year people start wearing hats again?
On stage again.
He asked it as a question, right?
On stage, yeah. He
Yeah,
said
yeah.
His answer was no. My thought is, well, I wore hats on stage in 2019, so I will probably wear hats on
Were you
stage
wearing hats
again.
at church?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we wear hats in church.
Your hat church?
We're a hat church.
The church is more about boots. Which that was true. I don't think anyone at my church wears a hat on stage. I don't think it's...
I've worn this hat on stage at church.
You left that hat here last time.
I know.
Now you're wearing it over headphones.
I need to make sure I take it home so I can have it at NAMM.
Good idea. I mean, I feel weird about this question because I've technically never worn a hat on stage. But I do wear a dinosaur skull on stage.
I think did you not ever wear one of the hats when we wore hats in your favorite band?
Oh, we had those little white painter hats when we were wearing all whites.
For like one show?
I think I wore it for about like half a song and then it fell off.
Yeah,
you know?
we had hats for one show, and then after that, I think you and Adam both ditched the hats, and I got a sweatband.
Yeah, you're a hat boy.
I threw that sweatband away this week.
Did you?
It was like brown.
Gross, dude.
I know.
Why did you still have that?
It was just in a drawer.
I bet you still have your underwear from back then too. He's not saying no. That means he still has it.
I mean, I can neither confirm nor deny. Pretty sure that's all that stuff is disintegrated by now.
I don't know. What's your take on hats on stage? You're fine with it
I
because
don't
you
have
wear
a problem
them.
with them. I mean, you know, it's to me, it's all about like how it fits in like the style, maybe some of in the genre. So, like, I understand.
I do not want to go watch Limp Bizkit without that backwards baseball hat.
I mean, that's a perfect example. That's it. I mean, that's exactly what I mean. Like,
I could have stopped that sentence a lot earlier. I do not want to go watch Limp Bizkit, and then I could just left it.
When I think of Darius Rucker, Hootie and the Blowfish, like I think of like the dad hat, like the super bent,
Right.
hat.
Like the trucker hat that's bent around in the front.
I'm never gonna wear a hat like that. Like that's
You're
not.
never gonna?
I mean, if you pay me enough, I will. But
How much do I have to pay you, Steve?
enough.
I've never been a hat guy. Like if it's cold, if I'm going up to the snow or something like that, I'll throw on a beanie to keep my ears warm. But and at the beach or if I'm doing yard work, I'll throw on like a big hat just to keep the sun off my head. But I never wear a hat just to be like fashion comfortable, I guess. Is that why you wear a hat, to be fashion comfortable?
Yeah, I maybe.
If I was going to wear a hat on stage, it would have to be a performance prop, like a Jamiroquai sort of thing. Like, here's my stage character, big floppy velvet hat.
Oh yeah, I was trying to remember what his hat looked like. Or like what the Devo hats.
Yeah, like a Devo hat. It would have to be, like I said, a prop.
I mean, everything in fashion is a prop.
The Aquabats, positivity helmet.
Right.
I'd wear one of those on stage if I was an Aquabat. Call me.
But not if you're a regular guy.
I'll join the bats. Give me a call.
Gosh. There's a whole.
I don't think I
like. There's definitely like a fashion component. I'm not wearing a hat because like I'm trying to, like, because I'm going bald. Like I know some people wear hats because they only have half a head of hair. And
here's what I'll say: if you're someone who walks onto stage in plain clothes, and you wear a hat as part of your plain clothes, leave the hat on.
Right.
That's part of that's what you wear. But if you dress up for stage and you put on an outfit and then like you just put on a baseball hat for no reason connected to the outfit, no, leave that off.
What if
if it connects to your outfit for your theme, then do it.
Like what if you're in a Warriors themed band? Like what if your band was called the Baseball Furies?
Well, that's
what wear a hat.
I'm saying that's when you would wear a baseball hat because you're doing a baseball theme.
I already wear hats.
If you are in a baseball themed band and you don't wear hats or helmets, what the hell are you even doing?
Come on.
What are you doing?
No,
Come on.
I wear hats all the time. Like I most days, like maybe not most days, but many days I wear a hat out of the house.
I wear a lot of hats in the metaphorical sense, but not in the literal sense. Yeah.
How many of those hats do you take off when you go on stage?
I leave them all on. All my hats are on all the time.
Heavy is the head that wears all the hats.
It's a lot of hats. I don't have anything else to say about this. I think we nailed it.
Yeah. If you wear
topic complete.
If you
never
wear
needs
hats,
to be brought up again.
If you want to wear a hat, wear a hat. If you don't, for real. Like, here's my thing. Here's the question I have. I guess maybe because you're indoors, is that the reason why it's not cool to wear a hat?
You know what? There's all kinds of like old rules that people have with like hat manners or whatever. I think that's all out the window now.
Is this like a church thing? Like gentlemen don't wear hats indoors. Ladies, keep your hats on. Something like that.
I don't know. Ladies, cover up. Men, let's see that skin. I want to see those bald tops.
I don't really know where that comes from.
Me either. It probably has something to do with, hat lobbyists being like, oh, you need a special indoor hat. This is your outdoor hat, like doubling up hats,
I've
really, a hat for every occasion.
Like, I really have to think that there's some kind of like old fashioned, like, take your sunglasses off. You're indoors. There's no sun here, idiot. Take your hat off. You're not blocking the sun.
Well, it might come down to like practical things like umbrellas. Like people are like, oh, don't open umbrellas indoors. It's bad luck. I'm like, no, you dumbass. You're going to hurt someone if you have an umbrella
poke somebody's
open
eye
indoors.
out.
Umbrellas suck indoors. Close that. No one wants that umbrella in here. Like if you've maybe like hats with those big old long feathers, we're always poking people in the eyes, tickling their little noses and making them sneeze. Like take your feathered hat off, Robin Hood. Maybe not indoors.
Maybe it's like from back in like the gladiatorial days where they had helmets and had all the spikes on it. And if you wore your spiked helmet into the Roman pub next to the Coliseum, you know, and somebody who was also like you're sitting there, you're wearing your helmet, you're smashing your ales back. You have one too many, you pass out, you fall over, and you kill the guy next to you because you're still wearing your spiky helmet.
Here's what it is. It used to be back in the day, if you walked into a proper establishment, there were probably servants, and someone was paying the wages of those servants. Hopefully, they were being paid. And you walk in. If you keep wearing your hat and your coat, it's like you're disrespecting your host because you're not taking advantage of the hospitality that they have provided of someone they have hired or procured to take your hat and your coat, and you refuse to let them take that hat and coat. How dare you?
So if you're already wearing a hat and you're playing a show and the venue does not provide a hat room for you,
yes,
you're actually obligated to keep your hat on.
It's your right. It is your right. And you know what? When people see you on the stage and they see you wearing that hat, they're like, man, I didn't realize this venue was such a dump. They don't even have a hat room.
How dare they?
Ridiculous. I will never see a show at this venue again until they procure a hat room for my favorite performers. Also, here's another rule. If you're backstage, you're sweating it, you're wondering, is this a hat show or is this a no hat show? You look out into the audience, you see people wearing hats, it's a hat show. No hats. If you see no hats in the audience, I'd start to worry. I wouldn't wear that hat. There you go. Yeah. I should have led with that. I didn't think of it till now.
What if you're in a band and nobody comes to your show? Then do you wear the hat or not wear the hat?
Those things are usually the way it works. If no one comes to your show, do whatever you want.
Oh, there you go.
Go buck wild.
There you go.
Take all your clothes off. Wear nothing but hats. All hats.
All right, this next ad was sent in by Ted Jackal. It's a huge guitar bass amp, Project Lot, Epiphone, Fender, Ibanez, Suzuki, Greco, Crate, etc.
This is a big old like flip bait load.
It's $679 for a local pickup in Oak Park, Illinois.
$679.
What did I say?
670?
Oh, got to get that 9.
How did they come up with that number? I want to know.
I don't know.
It ended, which means someone either bought it or they just took it down.
Yeah. There's a Greco 12 string. There's, a vintage Suzuki.
You don't have to figure out. There is a list.
No, I'm just looking at what they are. Epiphone, Washburn. Some old. Oh yeah, you're right. There's a
60s Harmony Stella 6130.
Yeah. Suzuki Rocco Man F2. Many of these have been like repaired.
Right. Or not repaired. Many of them are in unrepaired condition.
Squire Bullet Series Strat missing parts, cleanup body repair.
Ibanez Geo replace pickup.
I mean, that's like the least.
80s
repaired.
Crate CR 280, Fender Frontman 15G, Fender Sidekick keyboard amp.
There's a Tysco Tulip, not pictured.
I mean, you don't need to see a picture of that. You know what it looks like.
MIJ Encore Jazz Bass missing knobs but clean electronics. Oh, that's that thing. That one looks really cool.
I kind of like the look of that just because
it's missing a nut.
It's got like that like mini humbucker pickup going on. There's some bones to that jazz bass that I like, but I have a feeling it's completely unplayable and not worth saving.
Well, it needs a nut to start.
But I like looking at it.
It's got that funky switch.
I look at this and it gives me ideas to get a jazz bass and do this to the jazz bass versus getting this to have this.
Right. I like how one of these is those weird Trabans.
Yeah.
I've never
with the weird like flame,
the super flame
bridge hardware.
Thing, yeah.
the bridge is a chunk of metal cut out into flame shapes that goes all the way up the guitar.
I don't know if any of these.
I mean, you look at this and you can just be like, okay, maybe there's something of value in here, but realistically, you're going $40, $30, $45, $20. Like everything is sub 50 as far as the guitars go. And strangely, the Squire is probably the one to average that out slightly. slightly, you might be able to get like $75 for
I
a Squire.
mean, no, the Squire needs parts.
It does need parts. It's missing the jack plate, and
So
it's got a
you
big
have
ding
to
in it.
average $38 to break even on this.
Wow, including the amps.
Every item. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 19, and 5 brand new sets of strings.
At least.
Yeah, there's 19 parts.
I mean, one of those is a 12 string. That's 2 packs of strings, Steve. That's a really dumb joke.
The one wild card piece in here to me is the vintage White Instruments rack EQ. That could actually be worth something. But that's kind of hard to say. I'm seeing like some like different ones. I've seen like one of them on eBay for like $100.
I mean, you're writing the averages with these, and there's going to be a lot of footwork to move these back on the market if you're flipping them.
Yeah. Definitely a lot of work. Tulip needs assessment. This body that has no electronics, the bass thing, like that's not going to be worth very much.
You know what this is? Last week or the week before, we were talking about what's going to happen to all our gear when we die. This is what's going to happen. It's just going to be a pile of junk that we thought was so cool, but our family's going to look at it and be like, there's really not anything here.
Well, and so like so much of this too is like, it's going to come down to, do you already have these parts?
Yeah.
And
do you have the time? I mean, you said $38 average per guitar.
Yeah, but every amp is broken.
Every amp is broken.
Every amp is broken. The CR80 has a ground hum. The Frontman 15G needs the input jack replaced.
Was this like a repair shop that closed down or something?
The Sidekick buzzed when plugged in. The Trace Elliott just wouldn't power on one day. The Olsen amp has ground buzz. Oh, the rack EQ has nothing wrong with it. And a Fender Ultra Course that's not pictured works, but there's a cap bleed once it warms up, so there's white noise. So some of these are like, oh yeah, if you know how to replace caps, like you could possibly fix this really easily.
But the time cost on these is not worth it. It's not like pick one thing out of this pile of stuff that you're like, oh, that's the one I want.
Well, I'm saying like if you're
in here you want.
If you're bored, maybe like you don't think about the amount of work you're gonna have to do.
I look at these and my gut is you got to price them $10 a pop, and that's so you can haul it all down to the swap meet and try to sell them for $15 to $20 a pop,
right?
Without repairing anything. And then people who own like restaurants or whatever are going to TGI Fridays the walls with random guitars with most of this. Like these are now kitschy, decorations, and the amps are just kind of a loss. Like that crate, you could do the speaker cab transformation on it.
Right.
You could do that with a couple of these, but I mean, it's just none of this is desirable.
That crate, I think, just has a single 15 in it.
Yeah, I think you're right. None of this is really desirable or interesting.
I think
so. There's no parts here other than that jazz bass with those mini Bucker pickups.
Yeah. So
I'm not really like my attention isn't grabbed by anything.
I think that jazz bass is interesting. I could if I saw this in a pawn shop and I just saw it didn't have a nut and it was like. It was, I don't know, even if it was like $100, even with no nut, but I could like look it over and be like, this looks like,
look how small
maybe
that
there's
body
something
is.
Here.
It's a guitar-sized body. Like this is a short scale guitar bass. It's a short scale bass.
But like that's the kind of thing where I think I could see myself like paying. But see, no nut. With no nut, I could see myself paying like $60 and then going down to taking it down to Sean at Pitbull to get a new nut fab and everything else. And, it's going to sit down like $150, but it's going to look really cool.
Yeah.
The only thing in here that it doesn't need repair, there's nothing in here otherwise that needs to be repaired that I'm interested in. I do think the Greco 12 string is an interesting piece. Part of that is because played something similar that was the 6-string version, and it played fantastic. Which isn't to say that this will play fantastic or that I should go ever own a 12-string.
Most like older, especially cheap 12 strings are just bowed like crazy by the time you get them.
It says it's clean string and setup, Ryan.
It's clean. Now I'm saying like a 12 string already has to be dialed in pretty well for it to be relatively playable, because you just got to have such a beefy neck on them.
You know, this
like if the neck is failing in any way, it's just they become really a hassle.
This stuff was for local pickup only, so presumably you could go and like check this stuff out.
Well, yeah, sure. But I mean, I think we can tell what's going on here by most of these pictures.
Right. My guess is that this maybe was some kind of music store, and these have all just been projects sitting in the back warehouse for like 10, 15 years, just sitting there.
That's every time
Nothing
someone comes in is like, hey, can you fix this? You're like, no, I'm not going to fix this. Or like, yeah, it cost you like $200 for me to fix that for you. Well, can I sell it to you? No, but you can just leave it if you want.
Yeah. I'll give you like 10% off. I'll give you like a 10-pack of strings.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah. Here's a baggie full of guitar picks.
This, you know what? Some of this could be like, oh, can you diagnose this like instrument? Like, what's wrong with it? And the guy's like, yeah, this is gonna cost you like $75 to fix. Okay, do you want to just keep it and like you can just start working on it once I pay you? Okay, cool. And then it's just like he puts it in the back, and then like 90 days go by, 180 days go by, 10 years go by. I guess that guy's never coming back.
Yep. Just have all this stuff sitting here. All right. Well, Steve.
This week's episode is also brought to you by D'Addario.
I've got no steam left in me today. All right. Thank you, D'Addario.
D'Addario, makers of the XT string that combines the latest and greatest technology from D'Addario. It's got an ultra thin coating. It's got the Fusion Twist carbon fiber steel from the NYXL series. That coating, man, it's
nice. It's nice. Here's what I'll say. I put these on a bunch of guitars around here, and when I'm figuring out which guitar I'm going to pick up and play, whether or not it has these strings on it has become a deciding factor. I'm like,
it looks like you've got
that guitar doesn't have the strings on it. I'm going to pick up the other one because I know it's just going to be kind of slick and sound good.
You've got 5 more packs of strings there. It looks like you need to make another video.
Yeah, I need to put more. I need to fix up a bunch of guitars here with new strings on them, but I'm a big fan of them. Like the guitars I've put them on still have that fresh like twang to them. They're not going dead. They're not getting rusty or crusty or greasy even. Like they just kind of feel slick and nothing really sticks to them. They're like Teflon strings, you know? I like them. Really good job, D'Addario. I'm pretty happy with these strings. I'll say that. And I'm not usually someone who spends a lot of time thinking about strings, but here I am. Just obsessing over strings.
Just think about it. Backwards red hat.
Well, Steve, you want to talk to me about the future?
The future of podcasting?
This podcast episode right now, this is the future
of
podcasting.
Well, this episode right now is the future of podcasting, but when they're listening to it or watching it,
it's
the present of podcasting.
Oh, shoot, you're right.
As long as they're watching and or listening to it, well, if they're watching or listening to it during the premiere, it's the present of podcasting. But as soon as the premiere is over, it becomes the past of podcasting.
Yeah. That's why you listen to the premiere. So you get the hot, fresh stuff, you know. The only way they could be more in the present is if they were here in the garage with us.
Yeah, so this topic
Steve wants to do this because he wants to make fun of, what's his name?
Don't really want to make fun of anyone.
What's his name?
It's a thing that a lot of people do. Paul Davids.
Paul Davids.
But Rhett Scholl also
Steve
did
has
it.
A lot
of people.
Steve is out for Paul Davids.
Yeah, I'm out for his 1.4 million subs.
He's going to do an audit of this guy.
I'm going to do a hit piece. Paul Davids. What do we know about him?
2 first names? I don't like it.
He's got a beard. Probably stole that idea from Ryan.
I mean, that's where you sold the idea for yours.
I met Paul David's in person. He's tall, just like me. Huh. Yeah, real original, Paul. Come on.
Did you meet him?
Yeah.
Oh.
Mary introduced me to him.
Oh, at NAMM or something?
She introduced me to him and Rhett Schull.
Steve is getting around meeting people.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm sure they don't remember me.
I hang out with all those people at TGU. But
Was Paul there?
You don't hear me bragging about it. Yeah, he was
I
there.
didn't know they were there.
I broke bread with him.
Oh, fancy.
He probably doesn't remember me, but I hung out with him.
No, so obviously, like, it's a little like it's a clickbaity headline, and I get it. But
it was funny though, because you were watching his video on an amp, and the video was titled "The Future of Amps."
Yeah,
is
this the future of amps and everything? And I was just like,
well, what I wanted to get to is because you were watching something that had that as the title. YouTube recommended like 3 other videos that were like the future of something from other channels.
And I think, it's interesting because the amp itself it sounds fine.
It's the Hook amp,
it's
right?
Also, it's the Wizard. It's the Wizard by Hook. It's to me, like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, this probably sounds fine. It seems like it sounds fine in the video. But at the same time, it's like, oh, moving knobs. Oh, like the Fender Cyber Twin. I mean, they're fast moving. Like the Cyber Twin was slow, I guess. So
now they're quick.
So that's new.
Now they're like Star Wars doors.
It's it's a power tube amp. It's a EL84 powered amp. So, like the Line 6 spider valve, right? Wasn't that a power valve amp? Something
like that.
It's got all of these different settings up front, but a lot of amps have done that. It's just kind of doing it all together. So, is it the future? I think we're at a point where until like, you can do IRs with it. So it's like, I guess it's like the future is just combining every available amp technology into one amp.
Is that the future though? Because the future, in my mind, is inaccessible. Like you can't know the future of amps. This is the present of amps. I just did the video for the G20 from Rev. That's got, IRs and it's got MIDI and programmable stuff and whatever.
Yeah, but do the knobs move?
When I move them, they do. They don't need to though. They don't need to move. It's a cool trick to see the knobs move and see what your settings are. I don't know. I get that the Hook amp does something different in that it makes a bunch of different like styles of amp sounds, like British and American and whatnot.
Well, they go through like 4, and so actually one of the comments that someone on our Facebook page said was like, "Oh, this amp is great unless you want to play metal."
But if you want to play metal,
which of course metal is the future of music. So
if you want to play metal, then
how can you play?
You're buying a very specific amp anyway.
If your amp can't handle the future of music, then how can it be the future of amps? No.
Do you think that metal has much more of a future?
I don't know.
I think it's run its course. Metal's over, guys. 2020, metal's over.
Yeah, metal is canceled.
Woods and soft plastics now. No more metals.
No hard plastics either.
Yeah, soft plastics.
Rubbers as well.
Yes.
Anyway.
Rubber music.
No,
the only band I want to hear is a rubber band. Dad joke. It's a pun.
So anyway, I just thought it was funny that all this stuff is the future, and like I said at the beginning of this, I recognize it as hype, but everything will always be like the future. Like unless you're intentionally being retro, like JHS releasing the cheese fuzz, where it's like, this is old. And then I'm sure somewhere out there is like, is this the future of pedals? Are all pedal companies just going to start re-releasing discontinued pedals?
You could say, is this the future about anything? I mean, it's like that meme, like you see the butterfly and you're like, is this the future? It's like, oh, wow, cool. A new iPhone. Is this the future of phones? Is that there will be new iPhones? Well, that's the way things are going.
That's exactly what it is.
So it's just it's a clickbait title, but it's a funny concept to think about, is that we should even be thinking about what is the future of amps when it seems like amps kind of are on their way out or becoming less important. in a way.
But
Like, I
that
think
might be why it's the future, is because it's
it
incorporating
makes up for what's going on.
It's incorporating all this, like what we think of as like future tech, like IR, like digital modeling.
Right.
But then it's still got like that core amp component of being a valve, being a valve.
We're in America, Steve. Call what it's called.
Called a light bulb powered amp.
It's called a glass cylinder loud box.
Yes. I don't know, like at the same time, like I think about that, I'm like you said, like the moving knobs are a fun gimmick. But when you think of like the future, it's like it's got chicken head knobs. I'm like, well, that's not the future.
And like a tweed front or whatever.
The Hook logo. And again, like I don't know anything about Hook. This isn't designed to be a takedown of Hook, but
okay, I'm gonna imagine.
But their logo is basically like the angle font. I'm like, okay. Like
I'm gonna.
It's kind of safe. They're safe design choices.
I'm gonna imagineer the future of amps.
Okay.
And then you can imagineer your own future of amps.
Okay.
So, in my mind, future of amps, a future amp.
Mm-hmm.
We're all focused on low wattage right now to keep volume down and stuff like that. Practicality.
Okay. Yeah.
Save our backs not carrying stuff. In the future, it's not going to matter. We're going to have like 60,000 watt amps because the technology will be there, and each amp will be powered by its own like self-contained like cold fusion reactor. So you will never have to plug it into anything. No more ground loop issues. Maximum amount of power. It'll come with just a ridiculous speaker cab. Every speaker you can imagine. This thing's going to be big, by the way. Big's going to be really in the future. It's going to be like a full stack. But something really cool about the future.
Yeah.
Hover technology. This thing is always going to be 6 inches off the ground and move with a touch of the finger.
Well, that way, its tone will not be limited by the surface that it's in contact with.
Exactly.
Very smart, Ryan.
You're not bleeding tone into the ground or the walls. It's hovering at all times just off the ground. It's got plenty of power left over from that cold fusion reactor inside of it to power the amp and power the hover thing. And you get just this array of speakers that allow you to fine dial in speaker sounds and just 60,000 watts of power. Just more headroom than you could ever imagine. You're never going to be like, I wish this amp had more headroom. And there will be a big knob on it. You can dial it all the way down to 1/8 of a watt if you want.
1/8 of a watt to 60,000 watts.
Yeah, it's got a 400-pound heat sink on the back of it.
But it's okay because it hovers. Who cares?
It hovers. Who cares? And you don't really even need to put it in your car. You hitch it to like the trailer hitch. Your car also floats, by the way. You just hitch it to the trailer hitch and just haul it to the gig. You know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So that's the future of amps as far as I see it.
The way I see the future of amps is you have one speaker. It's one of those old style car speakers, but this is the future.
Yes.
And we need one of these speakers because it's a 6-inch by 9-inch speaker.
Like an oval one?
Yeah, it's one of those old oval, but it's a 6 by 9-inch speaker. And this amp is of course it's 420 watts.
Shut up. All right.
All right, you want to do some housekeeping? We don't have it. Do you have any shipping bags down here?
I can go get some. Here, you do the housekeeping. I'll go get some bags.
Big shout outs this week for housekeeping. Of course, housekeeping is the time in the show where we thank everyone who supports us through Podbean's patronage program or through Patreon. Patreon is probably the easier way for me to track it. It's patreon.com/60cyclehumcast, I think. So this week we have at the $5 level, which is the best friends level, and I'll be sending out some merch his way. Probably not until after NAMM, to be honest, is Josh Lucas. And then coming in at the $25 level, that is the bragging rights level. Hello. It is Philip Smith. Good grief, man. Do you have a Sharpie too? I need a Sharpie. Sorry. So coming in, thank you, Philip, for your supporting us. I'm going to send you, since this is the episode before NAMM, I'm going to send you some chicken pics. That seems like a very NAMM-worthy thing. And let's see what else we got in here. How about some wood? Nah.
You already got pics. Yeah, give him a cable. It's a cool looking cable.
This is a BTPA cable. I think it's either a 15 or 20 footer, straight angle, right angle.
That's an Ortega, right?
No, it's BTPA. This is one of mine.
Oh. I don't know what that is.
What's this Ibanez thing?
That's just a bag. It's just a Ibanez bag. Like a backpack bag. You can give that to him too if you want. I don't care. This is where we just give junk away.
No, oh, we need.
So who's this for?
I'm gonna give you this Rasta strap.
Nice. Rasta strap.
This is for Philip Smith for the bragging rights level.
Oh
$25.
yeah, he's the guy from Goldfinch, right?
Oh, is he? I don't know. I don't know.
Here's the bragging rights level. That's the one that's the $25 level, right?
Yeah, that's the Goldfinch guy.
That's the Goldfinch guy. He really appreciates that I did a video of the Goldfinch, and he's like, I want to jump into this this Patreon.
Well,
thing.
thanks. We super appreciate it. And we are you friends with him already on Facebook?
I think so.
Well, put him in the freaking inner circle, man.
Ooh.
How dare you?
Sorry.
All right.
You know what? I think all my contact with him is through Instagram.
Ah, okay. Well,
I'll hit him up. I'll hit him up and I'll ask if he's on Facebook.
Yep. All right, Here we go. This last ad sent in by Josh Scott. Well, hello.
That name's familiar. I feel like I've heard it before.
Yeah. He's this guy I know.
You know that guy?
Yeah.
All
This
right.
is a 2 UV vodka promo guitars. Very rare. So rare that they're selling them for $275. Is that each or total? I don't know.
It better be total.
UV vodka. What's the deal? Have you ever had UV vodka?
I'm not a vodka guy.
Well, I've never even heard of UV vodka. One of
Is
these.
that the one with the robot?
Is it? One of these. No, isn't that Svedka?
Oh yeah. This is ultraviolet vodka.
One of these is a Flying V. I like the way the Flying V design. The V looks awful. The V itself looks awful, but I like the finish where the bottle is also part of the neck.
I don't like that part. But like I don't know what to expect out of these guitars. I mean, these are clearly like Carnival prize level guitars in quality.
Yeah. And this other one is like a super, or it's just a super strat. It's a super strat.
What is it called when a strat is less than super? Like
It's
a regular strat
so
is
you've got-
regular,
you've got
and
a
then it can
strat.
become super.
You got a super strat. This is a subpar strat.
A subpar strat.
A substrat.
A substrat. We're in the substrata.
Yeah. This thing has a single humbucker Uno knob. This is
kind of weirdly
this
like.
is a Tom DeLonge of Stratocasters.
I weirdly like this color scheme on this guitar. Like if it didn't say UV vodka and just had some like random blue shapes over white.
What if it didn't say UV vodka, but it still was all bottles? They were
like
just
it was bottle
unmarked.
shapes?
Yeah, but they're they're unmarked. So everything's the same. There's just no letters.
Yeah, I kind of like it. Like it catches my eye in an
Yeah,
interesting
so it would
way.
be like the Mandalorian if it was done right, where there would be no Hangar 35.
Do we need to talk about Mandalorian as like a
I
mid?
feel like we should. But
Maybe we should. If we get through the next episode good on time, let's do a bonus episode on the Mandalorian.
All right. Now I've got Now I've got motivation to talk fast next episode.
Yeah, seriously.
So
hit us with this song.
what do you think about UV vodka?
I don't know anything
got a
about that
thought?
vodka, but I know for $275, I feel like for both of these, it's too steep. Like these are giveaway. These are Carnival prizes. These are promotional materials.
For like 130, I guess that works out to like what, $130 a piece, basically.
I'd pay $50 a pop.
You get a Squire.
I'd pay $50 a pop for these guitars, and it would be because I'd be looking at that V body, like, it'll take a Strat bridge. I wonder if I could put a Fender neck on it, you know?
Dude, I
And
had
do
this
something stupid
song
with
and
it.
then I clicked on an email.
And then the Strat is like, besides looking kind of interesting, like it's gonna have no playable value. It's just like the cheapest of the cheap looking
Yeah.
Carnival prize thing, like I was saying.
Yeah. All right. This song was sent by Ian Duncan. He says, "Hey guys, I listen to most every episode of the every episode."
Hold on a second. I feel like this is entrapment. Look at all the sheriff's badges behind this guitar.
What?
This guy is trying to like sell this to kids and then be like, oh, you look a little young to be buying a booze guitar.
When you show up to buy these, he's gonna be like, in order to buy this, you're gonna have to pass this breathalyzer test.
Oh, you love booze so much you want to buy guitars with alcohol on them? Sir, I'm gonna need you to recite the alphabet backwards.
Dude,
in Spanish.
Mystery solved.
It's entrapment.
I do want to, before we hit the end of the show, I also want to thank everyone who wrote in saying that they listened to the podcast audio exclusively. I hate that you asked people to do that because we just got all these emails. It was actually really cool because it's like, hey, people actually like send it. So
yeah.
So thank you. It means a lot to me. Send us songs. We're almost out of songs again. This week's song was sent by Ian Duncan. He says, hey guys, I listen to most every episode as a podcast. Thanks for the great content. Wanted to submit a song from our band, Death Whistle, from Connecticut.
I love that. That's
the
a great
song
name.
is called Arctic Doofus. We play mostly original tunes and mix in some covers. Influences are Neil Young, Birds, Sonic Youth, Guided by Voices, and the Sadies. We try to play out every couple months or so, but mostly get together to jam or have fun and record every week or so. Seeing as this is a guitar and pedal show, here's the deal. One guitar is a Gretsch Country Gentleman tube screamer into a matchless amp. The other is a Les Paul King of Tone Fender Blues Jr., both having various mods and delays, but that's the core tones. Bass player has a ton of basses, so no clue what was recorded here. Possibly a Nash jazz bass, but definitely a GK head into the board, probably a Boss, octave pedal, and a big muff too. Thanks again, Ian, Wally, Matt, and Brian. Death Whistle. This is coming off Dropbox, so it's going to take me a second to load.
Hot off the Dropbox.
Hot off the Dropbox 2020.
We need to put that sound effect on.
Do we not have one?
We do not. That's why that button isn't lit up. Perfect timing. this is a band where if they were local, I'd be really excited to play shows with them.
I feel like this is a band I would rather listen to than Exile on Main Street.
I'm not gonna pick sides on that. But I really like the dissonant, like screeching guitar work in that. I just like the whole mood of it. That's in my wheelhouse of stuff that I enjoy. So yeah, good job, guys. Good job. All right. Stay grounded.
Bye.